This is the Casual Nerds Podcast with Eri and Matt.
Hello, welcome to Casual Nerds, a podcast for casual fans. My name is Eri, and with me is
MegaDjMatt.
And returning back to this podcast is me boyfriend. So say hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. How are you, Dave? How's Victoria?
Awful. Next question.
Yeah, I could see that. But anywho, today's episode of Casual Nerds will be about cancel culture because, oh my god, so many people are being canceled in 2020. It has come to the point where comedians and streaming platforms like Netflix are now deleting old jokes and content because it had stuff that are now seem offensive in today's age. We now have YouTubers leaving the platform, being canceled left and right. And it just come to the point where we now have to discuss about it because I have a little anecdote slash question I need to ask you guys later on to the show. But for now, let's just talk about cancel culture in general. So, what is cancel culture? What is your definition of cancel culture?
I have not really been following it that closely enough to really have a good explanation of it. What about you guys?
I reckon it's more like somebody does something wrong, and then everyone that's like a fan of that person also gets like cancelled or something. So it basically invalidates a person's opinion, or invalidates somebody from basically Twitter or the internet in a way. It's kind of like exiling somebody from the internet.
Pretty much. I remember watching a video and they're just saying that it's more on accountability culture where they just want the creator to be accountable for their past actions, but instead of that, they just want the person to lose their career, to end their career, end it all. They don't deserve the success because apparently they got their success through really bad taste of jokes, and their explanation to why they did said jokes is really wrong. For example, Shane said in his taking accountability video that the reason why he did blackface and all that is because he was in a dark place, and
That's not a pun, is it?
That's not a pun. He actually said it. It's like he's blaming mental health for doing blackface and racist jokes and slurs and all that. And I'm just like,
Also, when you say Shane, you mean Shane Dawson.
Yes, Shane
Okay,
Dawson.
just making sure.
Yeah, his YouTube channel is just called Shane. That's why.
I wouldn't know because I didn't watch him.
I don't really care for him either.
I did, but that's because he did documentaries, and I'm like, I want to watch those.
Fair, that's fair. So I mean, there's a disconnect with somebody. You can like something that somebody makes. You don't have to like the person that makes it.
That's the problem though, because you can say that, but everyone's saying no. Because if you're just liking what they make, you're still supporting them by giving your money, by giving them your views and attention and all that. And it just becomes a full mess. The only, if you don't want to be attacked on the internet, you either have to keep it to yourself, or don't watch them at all.
He's an example from a little bit ago. Before cancel culture got really ramped up in this year, because it's been really going hard this year. Because I think people have just run out of things to do because of quarantine.
Yeah.
So they're just starting to trying to just cause problems. A few years ago, Louis C.K. did some awful stuff apparently to some.
Who's Louis C.K.?
Louis C.K. is a comedian.
Okay.
He's very funny. I like him as a comedian. He's a very funny guy. But he did some very, let's say, questionable sexual acts with some people, and that got out, and people were trying to cancel him altogether. And it was just like, man, I wasn't always really on board with Louis C.K. because he's not necessarily the best person. You can see that he tries, but that's everyone. Not everyone is is a shining example of like an angel or whatever. Like
Yeah,
people, I think people are tend to put people on a pedestal.
true.
Very
and then when they
true.
realize that they're not necessarily as wholesome or as fantastic as they are, then they will topple the pedestal.
What kind of sucks though is that a lot of these jokes, I mean, I know they're bad, and a lot of the stuff they did, they're bad, but this is my dumb argument. Like, and I'm not gonna use Jeffree Star as an example. I'm gonna use, or Shane Dawson. I'm gonna use Sean McAuliffe. He's an Australian comedian because he did
Sean McAuliffe. Yeah.
he did an interview with Charlie Pickering for The Weekly just recently in ABC, and one of the things he talked about is cancel culture. And I highly doubt Sean did anything illegal or bad or in poor taste, but during the interview, he talked about how he's now deleting content before they put it on ABC iView. Like, he's planning to put some of his old jokes and videos and whatever on ABC on the internet, but before they do that, he's now auditing all his stuff to make sure that it's still tasteful for today's society. But here's the thing: I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think he's a shady person. I just think that the jokes were appropriate at the time, but apparently they're not appropriate now. And I understand if he wants to delete some, and I will understand that if some jokes are really inappropriate. But here's the thing: there's this thing called context, and oh my god, people love to ignore the context. And sometimes people tend to forget that some stuff were appropriate at the time, but are not appropriate now. For example, I used to write fan fiction. Like, I loved to write fan fiction before I moved to non-fiction writing, journalism writing, all that. And
I remember those days.
You still do.
Oh, shush! That's private.
Really? I thought she stopped doing those.
Oh, I wrote one for Dave's request because he wants to see what type of fan fiction I write, but I told him you have to be really specific because I wrote multiple kinds, and he's just like, okay, I just want you to write this one thing, and then we'll see what happens if you want to go to the extreme. Anywho, back in like 2014, back in those days, fan fiction culture was still the same culture when it was like 2012. You write the most extreme shit. But basically, you have the more extreme the fan fiction, the more likes and reads you'll get, because all you want is reaction. It's pretty much shock value, and everyone knows it's fake because there's no way you can shove a snake in someone's butt, or there's no way you can shove.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, we get it. We get it.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Whoa, rewind. Sorry, what?
Basically, at least in the Dan and Phil fandom, in 2012 to 2014, a lot of the popular fan fictions were so extreme to the point where everyone is somewhat aware that we are all writing this for shock value. We all want to know how far we can go. And back then, Dan and Phil were somewhat encouraging it, as long as it's not in the main tags, but they did read one, which is a bit tamed, once on their YouTube video. I have a clip, I'll play it right here.
Phil, I don't think it would be right for us to go through Tumblr without acknowledging the hard work of the fanfiction writing community.
Oh no.
There's nothing wrong with fanfiction, it's a creative hobby.
It is.
Would you rather your daughter was into creative reading and writing or snorting off a hobo?
There's some creepy stuff out there, Dan.
Let's find a creepy one. Okay, here's one called The Skin Fic.
Oh no.
So basically, the fan fiction culture back then was pretty much extreme fan fictions where extreme stuff will happen, and extreme deaths, and blood, and gore. But then, so really, and pretty much I was bored when I was in high school, so I decided to write some meaning two. And I deleted my Tumblr, so you cannot find them anymore. I think I archived one of them because it was one of my, I would put on air quotes, favorite, because I loved the reaction from my readers, because they were like, because this was the time when Wattpad and Archive on Our Own was really popular, and it was pretty much they read my stuff. They read my tame, wholesome, lovey-dovey stuff, And then the moment I'm like, okay, guys, here's an extreme fan fiction. Warning: do not read if you're triggered by this. And everyone is like, I love your stories, and I am really afraid of what you wrote. And I just love the comments and the roller coaster of emotions that they had to go through when reading that. It's pretty much all for reaction. But then here's the thing. The moment I ended up being when was this? This was before I deleted my Tumblr, so 2017-ish? Yeah, around there. 2017, 2018. People found one of my old works. And someone messaged me saying, "You're not supposed to write about rape. Don't write about it. How dare you? I'm offended." And then I had to explain the following. I said, first of all, how the hell did y'all found this? This was like years ago, but whatever. And I said, second, I apologize, but here's the thing you need to know. Fan fiction culture back in the day when I wrote this was pretty much like this. Lots of torturous fan fiction to the point where Dan and Phil, or mostly Dan, will acknowledge it in his live streams. He would talk about it for a short time, and everyone was into it. We all know that it was the culture. We all know it was for shock value. It's just that by the time 2017 happened, it was all over. No one was interested anymore. 2017, 2018, everyone's like, yeah, this is bad. You shouldn't write this. But at the time, that was the culture. Luckily, no one canceled me. So thank God.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
But I deleted it. But I kept the original copy for at least one of them. So, yeah. Here's the thing. Shock value. And I know Shane Dawson's work was also based on shock value. But then again, people are canceling him because poor taste.
There's more than that, but that's part of it.
Yeah. But here's the thing, does cancel culture even work? Because, for starters, I mean, I understand why people do it, but then we have some K-pop stans who tried to cancel Joji, and just recently, aka last night as we're recording this, Harry Styles.
Oh yeah, that thing. I still don't really understand why they were just trying to just jump on a target, basically.
Apparently they're trying to cancel Harry Styles because he looks so feminine.
Like what?
That's dumb.
Is that not prejudice?
I have no idea.
Is that not like...
It sounds prejudice.
It sounds like attacking somebody for how they look, which is like the whole point of, like, you're not supposed to do that. Don't judge a book by its cover. Which is like what kids are taught, children.
But yeah, does it even work? Does cancel culture even work? I mean, I think it's working now with the Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson situation, since the restock barely sold out, and the lip liners hasn't sold out, and I thought people are into lip liners.
I mean, it is working because you were afraid to do stuff.
Yeah.
You were afraid to show that you have it. So it is working because it's working psychologically on people. And that's arguably more insidious than the other ways that it could work.
Okay, so Marbs is our audio producer, Marblu. He's now writing something.
Has it worked? Has it worked nicely in the past, though?
He said it works in the past, but has it worked nicely in the past? Because a lot of it's become a hate parade. Oh my God, he's talking about Toby Turner.
No, not Tobuscus. No.
In 2016, he got canceled. I remember that. I witnessed that. He got canceled on 2016 because of some serious allegations. I remember reading that it was a massive Tumblr post.
So wait, what happened there? Because I used to watch Tobuscus.
I used to watch him too. So basically, one of Tobuscus' exes wrote down how he was like manipulating her to have sex with him, and it was just abusive, and it was just so bad, and it was like a full-on 10-paragraph Tumblr post. It was covered in Drama Alert, and I think police was involved maybe, I'm not really sure, but all I know is that it was a long Tumblr post. People canceled him, and I remember it was so bad that I referenced Tobuscus once on an old group chat I used to be in. I don't anymore because the people are
Does that stuff belong on the internet though? If that seems like a very personal thing between Tobuscus and his ex.
But here's the thing. Tobuscus is sort of doing all right now. I mean, I think he kind of stopped doing the video game stuff for a while. He stopped making content during that time. Then he started doing original music once. I remember listening to Push. And I think he's back on YouTube, just more mellowed out. But, oh, people hated him. Like, to the point where if you reference him in chats, people tell you, how dare you say that? How dare you reference Tobuscus? He's a sexual predator. And I'm just like, I like the song, guys. And he's like, how dare you like this song?
Oh, we're getting into sexual predator territory. I got somebody in mind on that one.
Are you gonna say Pro Jared?
I forgot about that, but no.
I mean, that was a weird situation because I actually met somebody that was actually part of that thing, but she said that he was actually not in. It wasn't as bad. It was actually blown up quite hard, but then that might be biased as well. Point is, he's still on YouTube doing stuff, and he's doing a Magic the Gathering thing, Chandelier playthrough. I'm just like, okay, maybe I'll watch Magic the Gathering stuff.
Right.
But here's the thing: if you're into a Pro Jad because of Magic the Gathering, but
that's it though. That's the only reason.
But wouldn't that mean that you kind of support what he did?
No, I just support how he is now, which he seems a lot more chill. I never watched him before, like all that crap. But now he's playing Magic the Gathering. I'm just like, I'll have a look.
Okay.
And I don't mean I'm religiously watching it. I mean, I've looked at a couple of his videos. Just because I click on a video with ad blocker on doesn't mean I'm supporting him.
You're giving him views and your attention.
So that's useless. That's worthless. Why don't we cancel Nestle?
They tried! Dude, Muse, the British band, had been campaigning against Nestle due to their mistreatment of pregnant women in third world countries by forcing them to take their products instead of giving them clean water or whatever.
That's a reasonable cancel culture, right?
Yeah, but
that's when you could be like, those like cancel culture works for some for companies, right? Where you just don't want to deal with them. That's like a boycott, basically. It's basically a boycott.
But here's the thing. Nestle is a huge brand, and I highly doubt anyone would like to give up Kit Kat.
True, but I try not to reach out.
So basically, the idea of cancel culture is if the brand is so big, it's gonna be hard to cancel them unless some serious allegations come out, like what happened with Chick-fil-A. People are canceling the heck out of it. But if it's like YouTubers, they get canceled so easily that they end up leaving the platform.
Exactly.
Despite the fact that they showed change.
If you're in public or you eat a Kit Kat on stream, right, and people are like, oh my god, Cutiejea supports Nestle, those child killing bastards or whatever. No one says that, but they'll say it if you put on Shane Dawson makeup. So why aren't they out there also canceling big companies?
My theory is start off small first. Show that you can take down a small, huge brand.
That what? Huge brand?
Yeah, so someone that's huge but not too huge. And then you start to create some sort of domino effect that will soon eliminate the huge brands. However, I'm pretty sure you're doing well with your boycott against Facebook.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I never use Facebook. I use Messenger. That's like it. And even that's probably too much.
Okay, maybe not.
I mean, I really don't use Facebook very much. Does anyone else use Facebook a lot?
I do.
I do.
Do you do you post a lot?
Kind of have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only Messenger for Marbly. Yeah, that's basically what I do. I did that on my Twitter. I don't really do that because I would just do art. I'd retweet art that I'd like and like other people's art so I could use it later on, like as a reference or something. And I put my own stuff in there, but I try not to get political in it, and I never really put me on it, if that makes sense.
And that's why he doesn't want me to link his social media.
I'm not very public, you know.
Are you sure you don't want to get political?
I mean, it's political in like a fandom.
But never mind.
I've seen political stuff that happens in fandoms. It was so bad. One was a cult!
Yeah, there's a few like that. You get a bit worried about it.
Okay, 2020. Many people are being cancelled, as we mentioned earlier, because apparently they're in self-isolation, they're at home, and I watched another drama video, and they pretty much said that the reason why people are canceling people, especially now, is because people want to be their own journalists, and people are now just seeing, like, their old content. And here's the interesting part. YouTube is now recommending us videos from, like, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, for some reason, to the point where it's like, yes, you will eventually stumble on their old content. Which now leads to the question, are we really doing this because we're all bored and we just want action done now? Or is it because times are changing and we are at home so we have time to do it? Or what? What are your reasons why this is happening, especially in 2020?
It does seem to be happening more in 2020, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does seem to be happening a lot more. I think it's a combination of both. I think people are bored, and, you know, like you were saying, people are trying to be their own journalists, and they're just trying to cancel people I guess they find offensive and everything. One person I do kind of agree with when it comes to cancel culture is Davi Vanity. If you guys know who that is, or if you, I'm sorry, but if you don't know who that is, he was the lead singer of a band called Blood on the Dance Floor, and he now changed his name to Kawaii Monster, last I heard. The reason why I say I agree with him being canceled is because a lot of women have came out and said that he abused them, he sexually abused them, he abused some of his bandmates, you know, just a lot of stuff. And people like Jacqueline Glenn have been, you know, reporting on this, and a bunch of other YouTubers. It's really not that hard to find info out there about it. I think even Chris Hansen, if you know who that is, got involved with all this. So yeah, it's a pretty big thing. And let's see, you're talking about Shane Dawson. There's like another person.
But the thing is, how long ago was that?
Which one? Which person?
For that that guy that was doing
Davi?
Davi Vanity?
Yeah.
He's been doing it since the MySpace days, actually.
Okay, so if he continues to do it, then that's a problem. But if this is like,
oh no, he's still, like, as far as I know, he's not doing it anymore. But that's only because he's been caught. But
Right.
there still has been reports here and there that he's trying to still do it, but more, you know, low key.
don't you think that if a person tries to change how they act because they know it's wrong, that they don't necessarily need to be cancelled?
Tell that to Shane Dawson.
If somebody does something, somebody, I'm not saying that they should be exempt from punishment, but I'm saying that if they do change, though, they shouldn't have to suffer their entire life for it.
You know, if they are legitimately trying to change their ways and not just saying they are, just so people will leave them alone, then yeah, I think, you know, they should be given another chance. But, you know, if they're only saying it to just, you know, get people off their back, and they're still trying to do it,
yeah,
they're still trying to find ways without other people knowing about it, then, you know, yeah, I think they deserve to, you know, have this whole cancel culture thing be upon them. But if they are trying to change for the better, and I mean legitimately change, then no, they shouldn't be punished for the rest of their whole life.
Yeah. Like Jenna Marbles, for example, like, she's improving. She's still original. She hasn't done anything shady. The only thing that she got caught was doing blackface, but what she did is put, like, spray tan wrong or something. It was like a really bad application of spray tan and did a Nicki Minaj character.
And someone was just like, "Hey, that's blackface," and just like, "No, I just suck."
Yeah, and not really. It's more like she said, "Okay, I admit I did that, but I did learn from my mistakes. I understand it's bad, and for this, I'm gonna leave YouTube for now. I don't know if it's gonna be for now or forever." And she's pretty much leaving the platform, and everyone was outraged because they believed that Jenna Marbles has improved. And they said, why don't we just cancel Shane Dawson instead? He did the same thing but worse. And
well, that's again, shouldn't that it's different strokes for different people, isn't it? So like what's bad for one person isn't necessarily as bad for someone else.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then if you end up disagreeing, you're gonna end up being attacked on Twitter.
Yeah.
Here's something from Marbs. He said, "What's funny about Jenna Marbles is that she did improve, but she was never involved with drama with everyone else." Interesting. I wonder why did she ended up being targeted and ended up deciding to leave then. I mean, I understand it's her own accord, but damn. The internet is vicious.
I don't know very many of these people that we're talking about.
Dude, these are
I
like
know
OG
almost
YouTubers.
none of them.
These are like OG YouTubers. Oh my god.
They're your OG YouTubers. They're not my OG YouTubers. I was part of the Yogs cast.
Oh, I love the Yogs cast.
Not part of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
What's
I
mean,
Yogs
technically they have their own
digging hole. Diggy
what's Yogs Cast?
A Minecraft YouTuber channel.
from the UK.
Okay.
They have done some things wrong. They tried to get a Kickstarter going for a video game, which ended up not going through, and then they just kind of abandoned it and stuff. So people thought maybe they took some money, and then some of the people from the Yogscast were kind of were a bit, what is it? Let's say they weren't as humble and as nice as the other ones. Perhaps is the best thing. Basically, it was another sexual problem, and so they got kicked out of the Yogscast by the higher ups. So that was the right thing to do. And Yogscast are still doing well. They still do charity events and stuff like that. So I suppose it's different when it's like a big group of people as well.
So I have a question for you guys. Who do you think we should get canceled who do you think we should cancel and why? We can go political on this. We can cancel, if you have the power to cancel anyone, it could be political leaders, it could be influencers, celebrities, whatever. Who would you cancel?
I would say cancel Donald Trump, but they tried doing that and it didn't work.
Well, hopefully we can get him canceled this year, please.
Are they allowed to impeach again?
I believe so.
Okay.
But I just rather him not be the president of America anymore. And I use the word president very loosely when it comes to him.
Arguably, we both have the worst leaders right now for our situations, let's say. I don't particularly like our prime minister, and I don't think, at least I don't think it was handled very well by him.
Same with my state premier. I mean, she's trying, but oh my god, she killed so many koalas.
She's done some terrible, terrible choices. Just the whole cabinet there, it's been real bad.
They're trying to cancel Daniel Andrews now, despite the fact that he had the strictest COVID-19 laws.
Daniel Andrews is the premier of Victoria, and now Victoria is suddenly getting a higher spike of...
Cancel Kenneth Copeland.
Who that?
Who?
Kenneth Copeland is like this really rich Christian preacher.
Oh, that guy. This is like, God wants me to have a private jet.
Yeah, he bought like 3 or 4 private jets.
Because I can be closer to God, literally.
He's all like, I don't want to be on a normal plane because there's demons on that plane.
Jesus.
COVID-19, I burn thee.
Where are all those healers right now in hospitals? You know,
right?
Healing people from COVID-19.
They don't want to They don't want to catch it, so they're not going to go anywhere near it.
Yeah, but devils are fine. They can catch devils.
Yeah, devils are fine, I guess. By the way, anybody that's listening, I am not a religious person, but if anybody listening is, I got nothing against you.
Yeah, I don't think many of us are particularly, apart from
CJ.
Yeah, I am I am Catholic. I'm Roman Catholic. Kinda have to be because of culture. Speaking of the Philippines, here's the thing, and this is on social media, so I can report this. This is not defamation. This is on social media. My old primary school was being canceled last month, and it was the best thing I ever saw in my life because finally karma is kicking them in the ass. I was so happy. Basically, what happened was the school was being accused of teachers causing the male teachers causing like sexual assault harassments and everything to their students. It was pretty much a sexual harassment case. But then it soon escalated to not only it happening in different other schools, but for my school in general, my old primary school, it led to showing how the teachers abused their powers, how the principal literally abused their power, how the students are really bad, and it's mostly about the lack of authority and the lack of help that the students got while studying. And then I asked my friend for more context just to make sure, and she said that what I said was correct, what I'm reading is correct. So I posted out my full-on statement on what the school did to me and pretty much why that school led like the inactions that this school did. It led me to leave the Philippines, leave everyone I love, everyone I know, and start a new life in Australia, which is both lucky for me, but at the same time it's. But
your dad was moved first, but they asked you if you wanted to move, and you were like, yes.
Yes, because the story about that is that my dad we're supposed to move to the UK. But apparently there was just some political stuff that was happening at the time, which pretty much led to my dad cannot get UK citizenship anymore. He was close though, but no. And he was given a choice between Canada or Australia. Australia offered first. And they were offering a sponsorship for the whole family. And my dad, I was the first one who arrived home because my mom and my brother arrived home late. So I was talking to my dad because I kind of have to, and he was asking, if you were given the chance to move to Australia, would you take it? Here are the benefits. Here's this and that and that and that. And I'm like, I ignored those, and all I said was, I want to move. Get me out of here. Actually, I just said, yeah, I want to move out. Anywho, basically, I pretty much said how the school's bullying policies were garbage, how a lot of the girls there were so bad, and and there was like at least one or two teachers who were all right, but it was just so bad, and apparently a lot of people noticed it, and a few people agreed with it, and it was just pretty much the closure that I needed. My folks read it, and they were shocked, but they were.
Maybe people do cancel stuff because they want closure as well at some point.
Yeah.
For some reason. Even if it's not directly related to that person.
My folks read my statement and they were shocked, but they were mad because I got one information wrong. And I will just clear it out in this podcast. Okay, so in that statement I wrote down how I begged my folks for me to transfer schools. And apparently what I remembered was my mom telling me that I wouldn't be allowed. The reason why I wasn't able to move is because she said that I would fail Chinese. But I got that information wrong. Apparently, the reason why I couldn't go to that school is because they tried to get me into that school before I moved. I ended up enrolling to that school that's being canceled, but they tried to enroll me to that other school. But apparently, and we do not know why, but apparently my relatives were like speculating it's because I am not Chinese enough or I'm not that rich enough or whatever. But basically, I wasn't accepted to that school, despite the fact that I got the endorsement of my old primary school, like my old preschool, I guess. I don't know what it's called. Because it was a Chinese school, I got awards for best in Chinese. My grandma was helping us out. My aunt was helping us out. We got the principal of that old preschool involved. We got so many people involved to help me get in. But I didn't make the cut for some reason. And that's why I ended up landing in that school that's being canceled. But yeah, that school is my old primary school that I'm at, that I went to, that I had to leave, being canceled left and right. And it was the best thing I ever saw. Finally.
Hallelujah.
But yeah, aside from that school, a political figure I want to cancel is on Twitter. And I don't know if I should say this because they released a new law and apparently it will affect also people who are not Filipino citizens. It will affect...
Can we cancel Cutiejea or whatever his name is?
Yeah, I mean, I want to. Actually, I want to, but the problem is it's the anti-terrorist law, and I'm afraid to speak out.
CCP?
Cancel China. I think we're kind of doing that with TikTok at the moment. Told you, domino effect. Start off with the small stuff, so TikTok, and will soon domino effect to the entire country of China. AKA,
they literally made a law that said it's unlawful to criticize the Chinese Communist Party. Anyone. The way that the law reads, it is anybody.
Same with the anti-terrorist law in the Philippines. It's like they made it sound like, oh yeah, not only Filipino citizens who live in the Philippines are affected, but also those who live in America, Australia, and elsewhere. Everyone is affected. But here's the thing. Someone who in Australia wrote something against Duterte, ended up being troll cats started attacking her. They even tried to get the Philippine embassy in Australia involved. But then the person went to the Australian police, and the police got involved, and they said, hey, if you want to extradite this person, take it to the Australian embassy, not the Philippine embassy, because she is an Australian citizen, and your laws don't affect her or anyone who is under Australian citizenship. So this is where I'm like, I would like to speak out about Duterte because I know that I will be under Australian law, and they have to go take it with the Australian embassy, which I'm pretty sure they will protect me because I am not breaking any Australian laws. But at the same time, I'm low-key afraid because I did talk with some key members of like the Philippine consulate in Sydney and some key members of my local community who are like local leaders, and I'm just like a bit low-key afraid that I might get extradited.
I don't know if they could actually legally do that, but on the other hand, you wouldn't be able to see your grandma anymore because they could put you on like a list or something, you know.
Yeah, they might ban me from the Philippines.
And I don't know if your grandma. I don't know if you never want to see grandma again.
I want to see my.
Unless she comes over here, then that's different, I guess.
Pros and cons for cancel culture. What are the pros and cons? I mean, the pros, in my opinion, is that people are now taking accountability. People are now exposing the dark sides of an institution or a person or a brand. And at the same time, if a brand is being called out, now is the time for smaller brands to get their name out saying, hey guys, if you hate this brand, take a look at my brand. We're not a huge issue. We do the same stuff. We're small, independent, blah, blah, blah. But the cons are we're pretty much...
But on that...
Yeah.
That stems from hate, though, so...
Yeah, a lot of it stems from hate. That's the con. You're just...
Should you profit... It's another ethical thing. Should you profit off hate?
I mean, Hattori is doing it right now, and they're doing fine.
They can be doing fine, but is it ethical? That's a philosophical question, I guess.
I mean, their act is pretty much a visualization of a dystopia based on a world filled with hate. So I'm pretty sure that they're doing that. It's all right because it's an act, and they're pretty much showing like what happens if there's no love. We all just hated each other. What would happen? What are the possible outcomes? And it's pretty much saying, "Oh yeah, the world ended."
Seems like there's a lot of hate being flung around right now.
Well, the pros I can see is, if you're trying to cancel somebody who is doing something, illegal or toxic or just something that's really damaging towards themselves and others, and even possibly a certain community, like Davi Vanity and his cult. I swear they're like a cult. And people like that. And Onision! That's who I was trying to think of earlier. I can't remember exactly what he did, but I know people are trying to cancel him as well. Sorry. I was trying to think of his name throughout most of this, and it just came to me.
Onision.
But there's lots of people in like the Smash community as well are getting like cancelled as well, but that's for reasonable. I would argue reasonable competitive Smash Brothers like Zero and Nero and stuff like that. And it sucks because I used to be like, oh, these guys seem really cool. And then turns out that they were being a bit weird. But then they have a very strange circumstance with the people that they were involved with. But it's still it's not absolving or anything, but it's just a weird thing to have.
Right.
It's
I didn't even know there was a
complicated
Smash
issue,
community.
that's fairly reasonable to have somebody cancelled, but it does suck when you're a fan of them.
Yeah.
And you have to be like, out of ethics, kind of just have to be like, yeah, I can't support you anymore.
But yeah, pros like that. Cons, like what happened in Jenner Marbles. Somebody who's actually trying to better themselves and people just go up and cancel them anyway. That is not exactly the best way to go about it, especially if, like I was saying earlier, if these people are legitimately trying to change, they admit to what they did was wrong, and I mean actually admit it, not just trying to give out some fake apology. So, it's just kind of a way of saying like, hey guys, I know what I did was wrong. Please leave me be and all that. I mean, like, actually show your actions, show that you're changing, show that you're trying to do better, however you want to go about it. And I don't know, cancel culture is just weird to me. Heck, we were talking about biblical stuff earlier. If you think about it, God canceled people. He pretty much banished,
He
two
didn't
people
cancel
out.
just people. He literally canceled entire cities. And
He
a lot
had
of
an
humanity.
entire flood. Killed millions of people.
I know.
Read Noah's Ark.
And I'm pretty sure everyone knows the story of Noah's Ark. It's like one of the most popular biblical stories out there.
Or you could just watch the VeggieTales version of it.
He canceled the dinosaurs. God canceled dinosaurs.
God said, screw the dinosaurs, and threw a meteorite at them.
But I think Marblue put it correctly, very pertinently, is that the biggest con of cancel culture is that it defeats the purpose of forgiving people.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Forgiveness is a big part of the human experience. I think cancel culture as a second to last resort. The last resort being like throwing somebody in jail, but as a second to last resort or something along that lines, because it's basically a super boycott.
But here's the thing: should everyone be forgiven? Because me personally,
Sure.
Me personally, I will never ever forgive that school that I went to through all the pain that I had to go through. Like, everyone just sucked so much. And people noticed. We had seniors noticing. I even asked for help and no one did anything. And if they had stronger bullying policies, sure, I would probably forgive them. But here's the thing. It didn't work. And it led to sexual harassment cases. It led to principals abusing their powers, saying, please vote for my daughter's artwork so that she can win the art prize. And literally students are being held up in school if they don't vote 5 stars. And apparently the principal tried to accuse this one student for raising up her middle finger, when in reality it's not true. And they said, give us access to your Facebook. And she's like, hell no. And then they said, okay, we're gonna affect your grades. And she's like, she's not having it. And basically, I don't think I would like to forgive my old primary school for all that. After me releasing my story, after hearing all the other stories, I don't think that school could be forgiven. So I don't know when it comes to the forgiveness part. For some people, yeah, I could forgive, but there's a question: who can you forgive, and who, and which person or brand or whatever? Forgiveness is not an action. It's not an option. You're done. The end. Kaput. Game over. Bye. Bye, sister.
Spill that tea.
Quality.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends where the cancel is coming from and how it actually directly affects you. Because it directly affects you, Eri, for that one, for the school. But there's no point in canceling like some person that you're just buying some makeup off. I suppose that's the cons of also being a quote unquote celebrity on the internet, is that
Right.
your whole life is documented. And if you try and then do other things, then people will just be like, "But what about that thing you did?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, but that was in the past, and I'm different now." But then someone will be like, "Yeah, but you still did it," and it's just like, eh.
What about you, Matt?
When it comes to the forgiveness, it really depends on what they did and if there's proof of them still doing it. But if there isn't and there's actual proof of them, like I was saying earlier, just trying to improve themselves, I think they can be forgiven. But depending how badly they damage their reputation, they could only maybe be forgiven by a certain amount of people. They won't get that same support they did back when they were, at high popularity. Especially people like, I'm trying to think. Like, Jenna Marbles, I think she could be forgiven. I think from what I have seen, she, she could be forgiven. I think she might be legitimately sorry for what she did for, the whole blackface thing and all that. But as for people like Davi Vanity, and if from what I hear it's true and he's still going at it, then, you haven't earned any forgiveness whatsoever, because you're still doing the things that got you canceled in the first place. So if you're still going at it, then no, I have no reason to forgive anybody. But if you're not, then maybe. I mean, sometimes, even when it comes to those things, like, even if you are trying to better yourself, depending on the person or whatever, it's kind of like, all right, I understand. I won't support you, or even if I did support this person in the past, even if it's something as simple as not having ad block on when I watch, their YouTube videos, I won't go to their channel anymore. I won't support them. I won't watch anything that they're in. It's kind of like, all right, I know you're still trying to I know you're still trying to do better, but for what you've done, I personally can't forgive you. I wish you luck, but I can't forgive you. Personally. Does that make any sense?
Yep.
All right. But that's how I see it, basically.
So throughout this podcast, we talked about cancel culture, the pros and cons, how it's all about accountability, how times have changed, the type of person, at one point, could they be forgiven, or at what point were they beyond forgiveness, and all that, right?
Correct.
So I have a little anecdote, and this is a true story, and I need to know your opinions. So we all know the Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, beauty, drama-geddon drama, right? Or we're all aware of it to some extent, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
To an extent, from what you've told me.
Okay, so back in November, I bought the Conspiracy Collection. And I didn't buy everything because I had a job. I didn't have a lot of money. I just used the money I saved up because, I just got what I needed. But then eventually got really into makeup, and when I first bought it during the first release, I bought the lipsticks and the eyeshadow, the mini eyeshadow, and they worked really well on me. Because I suffer with dry lips, and whenever I apply makeup and everything, I have to put like lip balm, lipstick, lip gloss, so much layers. Like Dave saw it one time on Valentine's Day. He saw how really liquidy my lipsticks are, to the point where he's like, "Don't kiss me with red lipstick."
I didn't say that. I resent that.
But anywho, over time, I feel like I could support Jeffree Star's brand because I like the formula. I like how it works on me. But then came the cancel culture. By the time the cremated collection and the whole restock sale started to happen, at the time it was just lighting up. It's like sparking up again. And in my head, I just thought back at the time that, oh, it's just sparking up. It's probably no big deal because it's been ongoing for a long time. But only now, the moment the restock happened, that's when it became a huge firestorm. It was cancellation left and right. The moment I got the products, when it arrived to my house, that's when the whole cancellation began. That's when people started unsupporting them left and right. That's when Shane Dawson was being called out. Jeffree Star's being called out. It's just called out left and right. And whenever someone posts pictures of what they bought, people are telling them, throw it in the trash, burn it with fire. How dare you spend money on a racist? Are you a racist? Because it looks like you are for supporting him. So I have this question. Should I throw away the makeup that I spent so much money on because of the cancel culture?
No.
And why?
It's your money to spend with. Who cares what you spend your money on?
But here's the thing. People are arguing that I bought this makeup and I'm pretty much supporting racists and pedophiles and everything. But I bought the makeup before I even knew any of that. Like, the moment that Jaden Smith, when Shane Dawson was caught doing inappropriate stuff on front of an 11-year-old Jaden's, like, Willow Smith photo, that's when all of my makeup arrived, and I stopped buying ever since. Like, I'm not interested anymore. I unfollowed them, I unsubscribed and everything, but I don't know, because I'm afraid to post these photos on Twitter. I mean, I posted them on my personal Facebook because literally the people who are like friends with me on Facebook are like high school friends and like family members who barely even care what's going on in the internet. But on Twitter, it's a public space. So yeah, and this is why I'm like literally afraid to share the photo. I think I might show it on the podcast. I'll figure out when I'm editing this for the video version, but basically, and the reason why I say so much is because of currency, like the currency conversion, because USD is much more higher than Australian dollars. So it kind of like adds an extra $10 when I buy stuff. But yeah, should I throw away / burn the makeup that I bought due to the cancel culture? Because that's what everyone is saying right now.
I believe you shouldn't throw it away, because I mean, you already spent the money, so you already have it. Plus, you didn't know about this when you bought it, like you said. So you personally have done nothing wrong, and I think you should just keep it, especially since you say you spent a lot of... How much did you spend on it, exactly?
Don't tell her. Don't tell her.
Because a lot of it is because the Jeffree Star Cosmetics brand is like a luxury brand. It's like basically buying stuff from Kat Von D or Fenty. It's so expensive. So yeah, it's a luxury brand. I don't like the drug makeup because I mean I tried it, but it's like I'm not a fan. Then I got introduced to the branded makeup because family involvement. They want me to get into makeup, so I got into Benefit. And my cousins told me about MAC, and it's just like, pretty much our family and my mom's side when it comes to makeup is branded stuff. No drug makeup unless you're starting out. But basically, whenever I ask for advice when it comes to makeup and everything, literally what all my relatives would recommend is the branded stuff, like Urban Decay and everything. And it was just like, okay. But, so that's why Jeffree Star's under the branded stuff, so that's why I ended up spending way too much money on it.
Well, yeah, especially if you're going to spend that much money on it, just keep it, use it. But I personally would say, especially with everything going on right now with Jeffree Star, I wouldn't continue to buy from him.
Yeah, I'm not. Like, he recently released lip liners, and for starters, I'm not a fan of lip liners. But I heard there's going to be another one coming out, and I'm just like, no, I don't feel like it anymore. I mean, I don't care how good it looks. I don't care if it's a nude collection or whatever. I'm just gonna pass. Plus, I'm running out of space as well. But yeah, I'm not gonna buy from him anymore. But it kind of sucks though, because like, I'm getting into makeup. Like, the reason why I got into makeup is because of that conspiracy collection documentary that Shane made. And it pretty much showed that even if you're new to makeup, you can still do makeup. You don't have to be a dramatic makeup artist. Anyone could do the makeup. That's one of the key messages of the docuseries. It's showing the fact that anyone can do makeup. And that's why I started getting into it. That's why I bought way too many eyeshadow palettes. I use them all, by the way. But yeah, but I hate it. I hate the cancel culture, especially when I support a few brands because not every brand works with me. Like, I have like dry lips, and I tried buying lipsticks from other brands like Kat Von D. Their lipsticks made my lips feel too heavy. Spectrum's lipsticks just made my lips feel too dry. The ones in Korea, some worked, but some not really. So yeah.
I understand. So basically you're saying for the main frame of it, you hate cancel culture.
It's not that I hate cancel culture, I just hate the effects it has, and it's like, you're pretty much not allowed to showcase what you got anymore if the brand is being canceled. I mean, I understand, but then again, you don't want to be attacked on Twitter.
Right.
It sounds like you're letting other people's opinions affect how you consume product.
True.
Yeah.
Which that does happen, but this is coming from a negative space where usually it's like, oh, I like this product because X. No, it's more like, oh, don't get this product because of X, or whatever. So I mean, there are all those things in.
Well, for starters, I'm not gonna throw it away because they're new and I really love the products. But at the same time, part of me is like, am I supporting the wrong person?
Well, do you think about every time you have a Nesquik or you eat some chocolate, do you think about the people that suffer for it?
To be fair, I had a Kit Kat recently and I really didn't care. All I wanted was a chocolate bar.
There you
go.
Okay. Got that clear. So anyone who's watching this, please do not go in the comments and say, go burn all your makeup. I work so hard to get the money to buy it. It works with my lips because my lips are dry as nuts. Like, really dry nuts.
Nuts aren't dry.
The reason why it's not dry to you, Dave, is because you kiss me when I have lipstick on my lips. Like, I always apply lipstick on.
Always?
Okay, 50% of the time.
The other 50 cents, she has lip balm on.
Yes, true. I'm not joking.
So sorry. Okay, whatever.
Okay, 5% when you came over to my house those few times.
What the heck?
We're now making some of our relationship antics public through podcast. Is this legal? Is this alright?
What do you mean? Is this legal?
Yeah, it's legal.
Your parents might not appreciate it though.
Anywho, you guys have like any final words when it comes to cancel culture? Is there anything you want to be judgy about when it comes to me buying Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star makeup? Is there anything?
Cancel Keemstar.
Wasn't Keemstar found innocent though? Like all the allegations said against him were false.
I honestly don't know,
man.
Probably.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, like there's so many people being canceled left and right to the point where it's like hard to follow, and I'm just like, why? I mean, for some I understand, but for some it's like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, are you really that bored that you want to find someone to cancel?
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying earlier, some people do it because they're bored. Some people do it because they feel strongly about, the bad things that a certain person may be doing. But I don't know. Cancel culture is just, it's so strange to me.
It really is.
But I don't know. Sometimes I think it's worthy, but a lot of the times it doesn't seem so worthy. It just really depends on the person to me.
Likewise. For me, it depends on certain factors. Like, I'm now not supporting Shane and Jeffree anymore. Not because of public opinion, but as more evidence come out, I've just realized, okay, this is not right anymore. But at the same time, part of me feels like, okay, I bought stuff, and I feel like it's a bit too late for that. But then again, I apparently there's a two-way argument when it comes to buying stuff. It's basically buy what works for you, but at the same time, figure out who you're supporting if you spend that money, because I remember hearing stuff before about that. Same happens with anime communities and anime creatives and whatever, and just a bunch of people. It pretty much saying that you're giving money to people to continue what they're doing. But in my personal opinion, I think Shane Dawson changed. Jeffree Star, I'm still like, But I don't know. That's just my opinion, and that's why I still buy or at least that's what justifies me to keeping the makeup anyway. It's because I think Shane doesn't change. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but that's what I think.
All right.
What about you, Dave?
I don't know anymore, man.
In conclusion, cancel culture is the most confusing cluster.
It's weird. It's such an awkward situation.
It is.
So yeah, that's the end of our podcast episode about cancel culture. Let us know down in the comments below what you think. Is it just a giant cluster? Is it necessary? Is it not necessary? How does cancel culture affect you or the people you look up to? Put them down in the comments. Marb say that you can leave them down, but we won't read them. But that's not true. We read all of the comments, and I mean it. We read all of them.
We read everything.
Dave, thank you for joining us today. I'm so glad you made it into this episode.
Yep. I'll be around because I'll be in self-isolation soon, so I'll have nothing to do.
Yeah.
Yay.
And if you want to listen more to our podcast, you can listen to it on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on my YouTube channel. So like, subscribe, links down below, ring that notification bell. And yeah, oh my god, we're now in episode 5. That means the next episode will be the season finale. Yay!
Woo!
But yeah, this is the end of Casual Nerds. So my name is Eri, and with me is
MegaDjMatt.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.